Can couples have privacy in a relationship? Let's get into it. Hi, I'm Daphne, and I own a company called Fern Connections. And of course, y'all know this is Rome. Roman had to have a procedure last week, but I can't keep him out of the videos. He loves to be in the videos. So, send him some love because that's what we've been doing. But let's get into this topic about whether or not couples can have privacy in a relationship. And I'll tell y'all, I'll just share a little bit about my own relationship. I believe in privacy, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit later, but privacy is not the same thing as secrecy, honey. So there's a difference, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. But what I mean by this is that should, your person have all of your passcodes? Should your person be able to see all of your text messages and be out there stalking or whatever you're on your social? Should your person, be able to see all of the information in your bank accounts and maybe you share that? I don't know. I haven't gotten there yet, but let me just say, I am big on privacy, and what privacy means to me. It means that there are these boundaries, these personal boundaries that I have. I don't have anything to hide, but yet, I'm not really the person who wants to just open up all my bank accounts to somebody, honey. I don't care who they are, and I'm not the kind of person who cares whether or not you read my text messages, because there's really nothing much to say about that, right? And let me just say this too, because I think this is what, people get upset about sometimes, is that, when you go back into the past, because we all have past lives, honey. We have these pasts that have maybe nothing to do with our current or our future. So when you start talking about privacy and we start talking about boundaries, make sure that you're not always going back into the past and they were talking to so-and-so or they need to delete all their text messages or whatever because they had these conversations and I don't want to hear about it, I don't want to know about it. Well, maybe you shouldn't look, right? I have conversations on my phones with friends and other people that I've dated over the years. Am I deleting them just because somebody else, may be concerned about that? Not really. I don't really care about that. It's part of my life, it's part of my history, and that's what privacy is about. When you start talking about relationships and couples, right? We should be focusing on the current and the future. Now, having said that, if you've been with your person for a minute now, for a while, and they have like these patterns, these trends that you see, and they start talking to folks that they shouldn't be talking to, that's a different story. But it also, there's this level of trust that you have to have with people in a relationship. And if you don't have that trust, because sometimes, some people are very flirty. Some people like to tease. Some people just like to feel like, okay, I'm still interesting. People still find me attractive. And so they flirt or they text with other people, whatever that is, right? And, sometimes that can cross over the line. I'm not saying, I may have done that. I'm not gonna lie, y'all. I may have done that myself a time or two where it may have crossed over the line, but it wasn't going anywhere, right? It didn't mean anything. But let me just say this, because what's really important is that emotional connection that people have with other people that may mess up a relationship. So I'm just saying this to say that be aware, right? Be aware of what you're saying to other people. Be aware of the conversations that you're having, whether or not you share that with your partner or they care whether or not you share. Maybe they just know you like to flirt a lot, honey, and that's okay. They really know that there's no harm being done and that you're not going to move on any of the actions or the conversation. So privacy. It's really about personal boundaries, right? So let's talk about something else, because one of the things that I know for sure are that most people in long-term relationships are good with like sharing their information. Now me, I'm not that person on that list, right? I'm the person who's like in the middle. Like I will share some stuff because I don't care. You can pick up my phone and if somebody calls me, pick up my phone, talk to whomever you want. I don't care. They can talk to you. You can see my text messages. You can go out on my social, honey, because it's mostly just about work anyway. And you can see all the things that I'm doing, right? And I'm okay with that. But there's a level of privacy that I need in any and every relationship that I have. So that's just me, right? But from based on, just research and studies, most people in a long-term relationship are very open. They feel like they have nothing to hide. They can be trusted and I think it's okay. Now let me say something really quickly before I get off this topic, is that just because your person doesn't see things the way you do doesn't mean that there's a problem. Like, I don't like to share all my information. My partner loves to share all of their information. They don't care, but that's not me. And they're okay with the fact that I'm not like them, you know, and they're not expecting me to be. So let me just say that. Don't get it in your head that just because they don't share all their stuff, like you like to share all your stuff, that there's a problem. It's just that people are different, and people's level of privacy and their boundaries are different. So let me move on to something else, honey. Let's talk about secrecy, because secrecy and privacy are not the same thing. Secrecy is when people are hiding things from you. Like, you know, they delete stuff before you can see it, or they're, out there, stalking people's, socials, and they shouldn't be. And every now and again, they like something that they shouldn't like, or whatever that is, or they're snooping into your stuff, like, intentionally trying to hide what they're doing, and you're, always having to like try to figure it out, and maybe seem like, you're snooping into their stuff, because you don't trust them. And that to me is a bigger problem. That's the underlying problem, is that there's a level of trust that maybe has been broken, and you feel like you can't trust them because they're being secretive, or they're, constantly telling you stuff that don't add up, honey. And, they're always on their phone texting people, or maybe they're out there on them dating apps when they shouldn't be. So that's a whole different issue. And the underlying issue is much bigger than, just privacy. It's more about trust. It's more about respect. It's more about like care and love, which is a bigger problem that, couples have, especially sometimes in long-term relationships, because they've been together for so long, and sometimes things go, I want to say stale, boring. I don't know whatever y'all want to call it, honey. Y'all know what I'm talking about. So anyway, so that's the thing. There's a difference between privacy and there's a difference between secrecy. And let me just say that for me, whether or not someone goes out and looks at someone else's social media, right? They may like something. Is it wrong? I don't know. Everybody's different, right? And some people say, well, you shouldn't be liking so-and-so stuff, right? I mean, for me personally, I like a lot of people's stuff, so it doesn't really matter, what gender, what sexuality, or I just like people's stuff. So if someone was trying to track my behavior, it would be like all over the place. But if you see someone who's constantly saying, oh, she looks very pretty, or maybe they only like the stuff where it's very sexual or maybe sensual or whatever that is, and it's one of those things that, leads me back to trust. You have to be able to trust people, right? So let me just stop here and say that should you or could you or can you, share, your information with your partner? It really is a individual situation. It really is like like couples have to decide and have a conversation about that. Should you continue to have conversations with old friends, even old, people that you were in relationships with, have a conversation with your partner about that. Like, what do you consider, out of bounds, right? Out of bounds. I think that's like a basketball term. I don't know, honey. Anyway, so y'all know what I'm saying. It's like, have those conversations so, you don't have to worry about like, I need to spy on you. I need to snoop because I don't trust you. So my thing is this. We all should have a certain level of privacy in and out of relationships regardless, right? I think the bigger thing is to, have a conversation with your partner to make sure that you guys agree on, what level of privacy works for the two of you.